In a competitive world, average won't cut it. The Success Launch Point shows you how to stand out, deliver massive value, and rise above the crowd. With on-demand courses, expert coaching, and a community focused on growth, you'll accelerate your career and your paycheck. It's time to level up. Check out modernobserver.com/launchpoint.
A security threat to President Trump, Obamacare fraud uncovered, a daring robbery at the Louvre, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. The U.S. Secret Service discovered a suspicious hunting stand near Palm Beach International Airport with a direct line of sight to where President Trump exits Air Force One, prompting an FBI investigation. Officials stated that no people were found at the scene and no security personnel were affected. Ukrainian President Zelensky came to the White House Friday after President Trump said he believes he can convince Russia's Vladimir Putin to negotiate a peace deal with Ukraine. During the meeting, Trump told journalists that fulfilling Ukraine's request for Tomahawk missiles capable of reaching targets deep in Russia could lead to escalation, and said that he'd rather end the war without them, a departure from earlier comments suggesting he was ready to supply Ukraine with the weapons. But the president said that discussions on the subject are ongoing, while Zelensky suggested Ukraine could share its drone technology with the U.S. in return. His visit came a day after Trump and Putin discussed the war by phone and agreed to meet in Budapest next week. Israel announced the resumption of the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip late Sunday after a lethal attack by Hamas on IDF troops earlier in the day, and a wave of retaliatory Israeli strikes on 20 targets in Gaza threatened the uneasy peace that has been in place since last week's deal. On Saturday, the U.S. State Department warned there are credible reports that Hamas may break the peace agreement with a planned attack on Palestinian civilians. This planned attack against Palestinian civilians would constitute a direct and grave violation of the ceasefire agreement and undermine the significant progress achieved through mediation efforts, the department said in a statement on social media. As the U.S.-China trade war continues to squeeze American farmers, many say they are running out of time and money while waiting for relief promised by the Trump administration. Time is of the essence, said Virginia soybean farmer John Boyd, who warns that without immediate financial support, farmers may not survive. While the grass is growing, the cows are starving. President Donald Trump has pledged to redirect billions in tariff revenue to help offset farmer losses, but months later those funds remain frozen. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins blamed the government shutdown for the delay. With the shutdown, that aid has been frozen, Rollins said on Thursday. Federal probes have revealed that pandemic-era expansions to Affordable Care Act subsidies led to an estimated $35 billion in fraudulent enrollment, with 12 million people in 2024 filing no claims despite being insured. Miami-Dade County in Florida has drawn particular attention, reporting more low-income enrollees than census data shows exist, with schemes involving brokers bribing homeless individuals or enrolling people without consent. National watchdogs say up to 6.4 million enrollees this year may be phantom signups, costing taxpayers billions. The Biden-era subsidies are set to expire December 31st, and their extension is a central point of contention in the ongoing government shutdown. Democrats support renewing the aid. Republicans cite the fraud as a reason to end it. Large crowds marched in No Kings protests across the U.S. on Saturday, More than 2,600 rallies had been planned, with organizers denouncing what they see as President Trump's authoritarian overreach amid a government shutdown. The peaceful demonstrations drew top Democrats, while Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson called them Hate America rallies. Democratic lawmakers and MSNBC were caught distributing videos of protests going back to 2017, claiming they were from Saturday's protest. The giveaway was scenes from around New England that clearly took place in the summer. MSNBC removed the footage, but many lawmakers did not. The Trump administration has asked the Supreme Court to let it deploy the National Guard to the Chicago area amid President Trump's push to send military troops into Democratic-led cities. The Justice Department filed an emergency application at the High Court Friday, asking the justices to pause a judge's order blocking Trump from sending hundreds of National Guard members into Illinois. This court should stay the district court's October 9th injunction in its entirety, Solicitor General D. John Sauer wrote in the administration's request to the justices. The injunction improperly impinges on the president's authority and needlessly endangers federal personnel and property. It marks the first time the justices have been asked to wade into Trump's aggressive use of the National Guard on U.S. soil. The New York Republican State Committee's leaders unanimously voted to disband the Empire State's Young Republicans chapter on Friday after screenshots from a Telegram chat exposed members using anti-Semitic and racist language. The Young Republicans was already grossly mismanaged, and vile language of the sort made in the group chat has no place in our party or its subsidiary organizations, New York GOP Chair Ed Cox said in a Friday statement. The explosive chat, first reported by Politico, was filled with young Republican leaders from New York, Kansas, Arizona, and Vermont. Peter Giunta, chief of staff for New York Assembly member Michael O'Reilly, allegedly created the chat while campaigning to become the group's chair. In a situation reminiscent of 2008, investors around the world are side-eyeing U.S. financial institutions after claims of questionable corporate lending came to light. Two regional banks are accusing investment funds tied to the firm Cantor Fitzgerald of fraudulently taking out multi-million-dollar loans to buy distressed commercial mortgage loans, the banks disclosed last week. Salt Lake City-based Zions Bank Corp. is suing to recover more than $60 million, and Phoenix-based Western Alliance Bank Corp. is trying to get back approximately $100 million. The people running the Cantor funds vehemently deny the allegations, their lawyer said. In a daring Sunday morning robbery, 3 masked thieves broke into the Louvre Museum in Paris and stole 9 priceless jewels once belonging to Napoleon's family. Disguised as construction workers, the gang used an aerial lift to reach a second-floor window in the Apollon Gallery, then cut through glass cases with power saws to grab tiaras, necklaces, and earrings before escaping within 10 minutes on motor scooters. The heist has outraged French leaders, with some calling it a national humiliation. An Amazon Web Services outage hit airline websites, including Delta Airlines and United Airlines, during Monday morning's hours-long disruption of the massive cloud computing provider, with some customers complaining they were unable to access flight check-in functions or their reservations. At 5:27 a.m. Eastern Time, Amazon said, "We are seeing significant signs of recovery. Most requests should now be succeeding. We continue to work through a backlog of queued requests. We will continue to provide additional information." That's the Raw Naked Truth. You can catch every episode of the Raw Naked Truth Daily News Brief, as well as our sister podcast, Carnivore Radio, with news analysis and commentary, and the rest of the Xvadio Podcast Network at xvadio.com, the Apple Podcast app, YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.